Hello and welcome back to Major League Talk Giants edition. Today, it's Thursday, April 13th, 2023. I'm Henry, and this is our fifth episode. We're going to be reviewing the series against the LA Dodgers. Let's go ahead and get it over with. We all know what it is. So, this is our fourth series of the year. This is our second home series of the year, playing at Oracle Park for a three-game set. We lost the series 1-2. Game one, the Giants lost 9-1, our only run coming from a Wilmer Flores home run in the fourth. In game two, the Giants recorded their first shutout, winning the game 5-0, but that would trick every single Giants fan. But even the Dodgers being held to no runs, there was still drama and stress. The punctuation on the win came via back-to-back home runs on back-to-back pitches, no less, from VR and Crawford. In the final game, the Giants would get up to a 3-0 lead on Clayton Kershaw, but then the Dodgers would do what the Dodgers do. And with Max Muncy in the lineup, we all know what that is. They would end up winning the game 10-5. We would have a consultation kind of home run later on in the game, but bad pitching locations really hurt us in that game. The starting pitchers for each game were Urias and Webb, May and Wood, and then Kershaw and Cobb. I got to give a consolation prize to Bryce Johnson. He was one of the top performances, even though it was in a game that we would lose. He went out there into center field. He missed one ball, but then he caught a fly ball all the way out to Triples Alley to end the inning. Unfortunately, he did get a concussion, so he will be off the roster for a while. Conforto is day to day. This entire homestand has challenged our depth. Roberto Perez is out for the season with rotator cuff surgery. We still do not have Haniger or Slater, and it's starting to show that we're relying on a couple of young guys that are really struggling at the plate. They can make some good defensive plays, but they really need to step up at the plate. Game one, our starter on the mound, like I said, was Webb. He had another very rough outing. Webb would go for 6 innings, giving up six hits, striking out six, and giving up only 4 runs and one walk. Our lineup was as follows. We had Estrada at second, who would go 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Flores was at first base, who would go 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts and a home run. Yastrzemski would go 1 for 4 with no strikeouts. Davis, our DH, would go 2 for 4. VR at third would go 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a walk. Crawford was at short, going 1 for 3. He would get 2 strikeouts and 1 walk. Bart at catcher would strike out twice. He went 1 for 4. Ramos out in left field would go 1 for 4 with a strikeout. And Johnson in center field went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts in game one. We had Taylor Rogers, who would go 2/3 of an inning, giving up no hits, 1 walk, and 1 run on a Betts RBI, scoring Outman. Jelly closed the game. He pitched for 2 1/3 innings, giving up 4 hits and 4 runs, issuing no walks and getting 5 strikeouts. Those 4 runs were courtesy of a Max Muncy grand slam in the 7th. We ended up leaving 8 on base, going 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Yaz would be picked off and caught stealing, while VR would successfully steal a base. We would turn 1 double play, Estrada to Crawford to Flores, and Crawford would earn a throwing error. Honestly, this was not really the way you wanted to start the season playing the Dodgers. I was hoping, for a little bit more of an even game at the very least, not a blowout. 9-1, you're getting slapped around, which as Giants fans, we should be used to that last year. We lost a lot of games to them as well, but it is what it is. We can only move forward and see what happens later on in the season. The tone was kind of set in the first at bat. Mookie Betts draws a 2-2 count and hits a home run on a changeup down and into him at 89, and he just knocks it out. And it did not really get much better from there. In the top of the third, Muncy would homer for 3 runs, and that was on a slider, kind of down in the middle, but more on the outside to him as a lefty. And then Flores would get a homer in the bottom of the fourth, so it's 4-1. Looks like all right, maybe we can mount a comeback at some point. There's another 5 innings of baseball to play, but like I said, it did not get much better from there. Uh, Rogers was pitching there for a little bit, and then Jelly would come in and Betts would single, and then Muncy would hit that grand slam on one pitch. It was a sinker, middle up, and not very up. It was almost just middle, but like I said, pitching mistakes ended up hurting us there, and it is what it is. Again, like I said, it's a rough game. Pitching mistakes are pitching mistakes, and instead of dwelling on it, you got to try and move forward and hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I mean, looking at Logan Webb, he pitched 94 pitches, and those were 47 sinkers, 27 sliders, 19 changeups with a fastball thrown in there just for fun. His changeups were 87.7 on average. His sinkers were 92.8. His slider was 84.2. The movement was pretty decent. I mean, and then you listen to people like Alex Pavlovich, who definitely know a lot more than I do. His location was normally pretty good, but he just makes a couple of mistake pitches. His release point was right around the same for all the pitches. As far as the distribution around the strike zone, he was good. He had quite a few pitches in the zone, and the way that the pitches were located outside the zone, they weren't too crazy. A couple that were pretty low and outside of your lefty batter. He threw 51 pitches in the zone. 43 of them were out of the zone. Batters would swing at 39 of his pitches and take 55 of them. And it looks like it's a pretty even distribution of his main three pitches there of changeup, sinker, slider for both taking and swinging. He would throw 38 balls, get 17 called strikes, 11 swinging strikes, and 11 foul tips with 11 hitouts and 6 base hits. 11 hard hit though. That's what'll start hurting is when you get those hard hits. 16 were not hit too hard. Of the 11 hard hits, you had 4 ground balls, 4 line drives, and 3 flies. So Logan, hopefully he gets out of whatever funk that he's in, because it seems like he's in a pretty rough one. Taylor Rogers, like I said, he would come in. He'd throw 19 pitches, 5 sinkers, 5 cutters, 9 sliders. Cutters were averaging almost 88. Sinkers were at 92.5 roughly, and the sliders were almost 78. Relatively decent movement on all three. Let's go back to that movement. Yeah, his cutters have more drop than they do have any kind of lateral movement. But the release point is pretty much the same for all of them, but he misses the strike zone a lot, which I mean, I know you're not always trying to hit the zone, but he threw just 7 pitches in the zone and 12 of them out. And honestly, one of those looks like that they said was in, could have been out, honestly. Batters would swing at 6 of his pitches and take 13. Relatively even mixture between all 3 of those pitches on taking and swinging. He'd throw 10 balls, 3 called strikes, 1 swing and strike, 3 foul tips, and 2 hit outs. And 1 ground ball hit hard and 1 fly ball hit hard. And then Jelly coming in, he ended up throwing 33 pitches, 18 knuckle curves, and 15 sinkers. Interesting mix-up choice there. 86.2 on the knuckle and 95 on the sinker. Yeah, that knuckle curve didn't have much lateral movement, but a lot of vertical drop. And as far as that sinker, had some good lateral and vertical drop. Relatively same release point, and as far as the strike zone, it goes from being up and away to down and in on a righty. He threw 19 pitches in the strike zone, 14 outs. Batters would swing at 19 of his pitches and take 14. Looks like they swung at more of his knuckle curves and took more of his sinkers. I got through 7 balls, 6 called strikes, 8 swinging strikes, 6 foul tips, 2 hitouts, and 4 base hits. 3 hit hard, 3 not hit hard. So, and as for our ump behind the dish, as Todd Titchener. So overall accuracy is about 94%. It says he called 144 of 153 taken pitches correctly. Overall favor plus 0.91 runs for the Dodgers. Overall consistency is about 91%. It says he calls about 13 called balls inside the zone and 1 called strike outside the zone. As far as his impactful missed calls in the bottom of the 6th with Urias, pitching to Flores with no outs, bases empty. 3-1 count, a ball is called a strike. And then in the bottom of the 7th, Vesieta Estrada, 1 out, bases loaded. 0-0 count, a ball is called a strike. And then top of the 4th, Webb to Peralta, 1 out, runner on 3rd, a 1-0 count, strike is called a ball. So he has called ball accuracy. It says it's 95%. 5 out of 104 called balls were true strikes, and his called strike accuracy was 92%. 4 of 49 called strikes were true balls. So that's a first beating that we got, that 9-1. So let's move on to game 2, where Alex Wood start and go for 4 2/3 of an inning, striking out 5, walking 3, giving up 1 hit, and he also hit 2 batters. Our lineup for the game was Wade Jr. at first, who went 1 for 2 with 2 walks and scored a run. Conforto in right went 0 for 2 with a strikeout and 2 walks and also was scored. Estrada at third, or excuse me, Davis at third, and then eventually Estrada would come in that place and go to second base. And Davis went 0 for 4, and Estrada didn't even get a chance to hit. Peterson at DH went 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a walk and 2 RBIs. Yastrzemski in left went 2 for 4 with 1 run. VR played second and then would go to third when Estrada came into play second. He went 1 for 4 with 1 home run, 2 RBIs, and 1 run. Crawford went 1 for 3 with a walk and also a home run. And Sable at catcher went 1 for 4 with a strikeout, and Johnson was in center field. Another hitless night for him, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Used a lot of pitchers in this game, honestly. Like I said, Wood started, then Junis would come on in the 5th for the final out, and then only record 1 out in the 6th. He'd only give up 2 hits overall and strike out 1. Then Scott Alexander would come on in the 6th for the final 2 outs, escaping a bases loaded situation with a force out at home and then a strikeout. So that was some of that drama there that I was talking about earlier. And then Brevia pitched the 7th, striking out 1 and walking 1, allowing no runs. Tyler Rogers pitched the 8th, striking out 1 and allowing no runs. And then Duvall would come in and close the game in the 9th, walking 1 and striking out 2. Overall, we ended up leaving 7 on base, going only 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Conforto grounded into a double play at one point. Sable would steal a base and also have our only error on catcher's interference. So there's that for you. But it was nice to have this kind of a bounce back after a 9-1 loss. We come back, we shut them out 5-0. And honestly, our scoring really didn't. We scored right at the top, and then we wouldn't score anything else until the 8th inning. Peterson got that double to right, and that would score Conforto and Wade Jr. Wade Jr. drew a walk to lead off for the Giants. He's drawn a lot of leadoff walks for us this year so far. Um, and then, like I said, we had that little bit of drama in the sixth where Alexander would come in and get those final two outs, escaping a bases loaded situation with no runs, which was honestly impressive. Um, and then the greatest part of the game was in the eighth, where you had VR. First, Yastrzemski would double, and then VR would hit a really nice home run to center. And then he didn't even really have much of a chance to even celebrate before Crawford goes up and on the very next pitch hits a home run to right. So it was kind of fun to not kind of fun. It was really fun to see that from those two guys, just back to back homers, punctuating that win, giving us the three insurance runs going into the top of the ninth. And Duvall, he got Outman out on a grounder. Um, and then Hayward strike out swinging. Betts drew a walk, but then Freeman struck out swinging. Uh, so it's nice to see Duvall not have too much struggles there. Um, yeah, he did get one automatic ball. So let's go ahead and look at some of the pitching reports. Like I said, Wood started 64 pitches. Um, 32 sinkers, 23 sliders, 9 changeups. Uh, his changeups 85.7, sinker 92.7, slider 83.5. Some pretty decent movement on those. The relatively same release point for him from all those pitches, and as you can imagine, this spray chart, it's kind of starts a little up and in on a righty and then goes way down and out as far as where his pitches landed in relation to the zone. He threw 27 pitches in the strike zone, 37 pitches out of the strike zone. Batters would swing at 23 of his pitches. So they would take 41. Honestly, it looks like the majority of the taking were on his sinker. Not a lot of changeups were taken. 29 balls, 12 called strikes, 6 swinging strikes, 9 foul tips, 7 hit outs, 1 base hit. Not a lot hit hard, only 3 hit hard, 5 were not hit hard. Then Junis would come in for only 12 pitches, 7 sliders, 4 sinkers, and a changeup. Not even gonna read the speeds on that one. On those, decent movement on them, relatively same release point. 7 pitches in the strike zone, 5 out of the zone. They would swing at 7 of his pitches and take 5. He'd throw 2 balls, 3 called strikes, 2 swinging strikes, 2 foul tips, 1 hit out, 2 base hits. And then, like I said, Scott Alexander came in to get those final 2 outs on 8 pitches. They were all sinkers at 93.5. Same type of movement, same release point. Funny thing here, though, is 3 pitches were technically in the zone, and 2 of them are called in the zone because they're like on the bottom, like the top of the ball just clipped the bottom of the zone. So you can almost call them out. And then 5 pitches definitely out of the zone. Batters would swing at 4 of his pitches. So half and half swing and taking. 2 balls, 2 called strikes, 1 swing and strike, 2 foul tips, and 1 hit out, and that was that force out at the plate. Then Brevy would come in and throw 22 pitches, half and half, 4 seamers and sliders. His 4 seamers 95.5, sliders 83.7. Relatively same release point. Strike zone, as you imagine, those 4 seamers are more high. The sliders are all low and coming in on a right-handed pitcher or batter, excuse me. He threw 12 pitches in the zone, 10 out of the zone. Batters would swing at 9 of his pitches and take 13. 9 balls, 4 called strikes, 2 swinging strikes, 5 foul tips, and 2 hit outs. None of his balls were hard hits. He got a soft fly and a soft pop up. And then Tyler Rogers would come in, and he'd end up throwing only 15 pitches, 11 four seamers, and four sliders. And Funky Man, his all his pitches are slow. 82.8 for that four seamer, 72 and a half for that slider. Uh, Good funky movement coming out of those. He threw 8 pitches in the zone, and he threw 7 out of the zone. And batters would swing at 10 of his pitches and take 5. 4 balls, 1 called strike, 2 swinging strikes, 6 foul tips, and 2 hit outs. Nothing hit hard. And then Duvall would come in and throw 22 pitches to get those last 3 outs of the game. 16 cutters, 5 sinkers, and a slider. His cutters averaging 98, almost 99, sinkers averaging almost 97, and then that one slider was down. And then as far as the zone, he was kind of all over the place, not too terribly. I mean, up and out from a righty, and then kind of middle and into a righty. 8 pitches were in the zone, 14 were out of the zone. So batters swung at 5, and they took 7 of them, or 17 of them, excuse me. Threw 12 balls, 5 called strikes, 4 swinging strikes, and 1 hit out. So yeah. He did get the 3 outs, like I said, though. His lot of pitches out of the zone. I think maybe that pitch clock is kind of affecting some of his command there, probably. Behind the plate for our ump is Brian Knight. And just for your information, this data is excluding 5 pitches that were missing location data. His overall accuracy is 93%, called 156 of 168 taken pitches correctly. Overall consistency 93%, 7 called balls inside the estimated ump zone and 5 called strikes outside the zone. His overall favor was plus 0.48 runs for the Giants. Impactful missed calls. Top of the 6th, Alexander to Outman, 1 out, bases loaded, 1-0 count. The ball is called a strike. Bottom of the 3rd, May to Conforto, 1 out, bases empty, 1-2 count. Ball is called a strike. And then top of the 5th, Wood to Rojas, no outs, runner on first, 0-0 count. Ball is called a strike. Called ball accuracy, 97%, 4 of 115 called balls were true strikes, and his called strike accuracy was 85%. 8 of 53 called strikes were true balls. So yeah, that was game 2. That was our 1 win. So let's go ahead and move on to game 3. For game 3, starter on the mound was Cobb, who was struggling with his command and location. He would only go 3.2 innings, giving up 8 hits, 2 runs, issuing a walk, and striking out 2. And I say like struggling with his command and location because as I was driving home, I was listening to this game on the radio. And the amount of balls he threw to the first like 2 or 3 batters, I was listening for the ump to call a strike from behind the plate because you can hear him if you're listening to the radio, and I just didn't hear him. And it was kind of disheartening to drive home and listen to that after you just went 5-0, had a 5-0 game the night before. But Estrada was at short. He went 2 for 4 with a walk, 2 runs, an RBI, and a home run. Flores was at first. He went 3 for 5 with 1 strikeout and 2 RBIs. Conforto was in right, but then Johnson would come on for him in this slot, going to center field, and then shortly after that, Wade Jr. would go to right field in the same batting position as Conforto and Johnson. Conforto went 0 for 2. He managed to reach base on a fielder's choice. Johnson went 0 for 0. He did not get to bat. And then Wade Jr. go 0 for 2. Wade Jr. also draw a walk. Conforto would score on that fielder's choice after or later on. And then Davis was at third. He went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, 1 RBI. Ruff was at DH. He went 2 for 4 with 1 strikeout and an RBI. And he was honestly seeing Ruff come back and hit that double in his first at bat with an RBI. That was pretty cool. It was nice to see that we actually got some production out of him. I was kind of nervous, I'll be honest, especially after seeing his numbers from last year, seeing how he was doing, the fact that we managed to get him back from the Mets on a minor league contract. VR was at second. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Yastrzemski would end up playing center, right, and then center again. He would go 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Bart was at catcher. He went 2 for 4. So Bart had a pretty good couple of games here, honestly. If y'all remember his throw from behind the plate to get the caught stealing at second was really nice. It was just a spot on throw, just perfect. If I remember right, it was VR at second who caught the throw, and he didn't even really have to move. He just got down there on the base, caught the ball, and literally just leaned back, got him out. And then Ramos was in left. He would go 1 for 4. As far as relievers and closers, like I said, the pitching is really what hurt us in this game. Alexander came on in the final for the final out of the 4th inning, and he would also pitch the 5th. He ended up giving a home run to, you guessed it, Max Muncy. Alexander would go 2 hits, the only run via Max Muncy's solo home run. He struck out none and walked none. Taylor Rogers came on in the 6th and struggled to either find the zone or fool any batter. He would walk all 4 batters he faced, giving up for free the go-ahead run. He recorded no outs, like I said, and was replaced with Brebbia, who would come in and get only 2 outs in the 6th before getting pulled. He got a strikeout. He gave up a sac fly to Smith and a 3-run home run to Muncy. So those 2 hits right there would score the remaining 3 batters that Rogers had walked. And then Ross Stripling would come in and get the final out of the 6th inning. And then he'd also pitch the 7th, 8th, and 9th. He'd walk 2, give up 2 hits, 2 runs on a Thompson 2-run home run, and strike out 6. Overall, we left 7 on base, went 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position, and grounded into 1 double play. Flores and Ruff both hit 2 out RBIs. Our only error in the game came from Cobb on a throwing error. I'll be honest, I almost don't even want to look too much more into this game. I mean, Max Muncy had his way with us in San Francisco. And Rogers, man, just rough there. But hopefully he figures it out. I mean, if you watch the game, you saw him throw his glove away. He went into the dugout and walked over to the trash can, took off his glove, was like, no more. But let's take a look at where these Muncy home runs were located to him, just to rub a little more salt in the wound, I guess. Because we went up 2-0 in the bottom of the first. Like I said, Davis hit the sac fly to score Estrada. Ruff doubled to score Conforto. Then Flores would single and score Bart in the bottom of the second. So we went up 3-0. Then with Cobb on the mound, you had Outman singling, and then Betts would double. That brought on Alexander. And then Muncy, 6th pitch of the at bat, the sinker down and pretty much in the middle, 92 miles an hour. And then his second one, pitched to him by Brebbia. 3rd pitch of the at bat, it was a 2-0 count. And it was a slider kind of up and a little bit out from him, not too much. It was kind of almost middle again. Mistake pitches, man. They'll hurt you. But let's go ahead and look at the pitcher reports. Cobb came on or started. He threw 77 pitches, 25 or 34 sinkers, 25 splitters, and then 9 knuckle curves and sliders. His splitters were 91.2. His knuckle curves were 83.5. Sinkers were 95. Sliders 86.7. Decent movement out of the sinkers and the splitters. The sliders and knuckle curves, you had more vertical drop than you really did have lateral movement. The sliders had more lateral movement. Relatively same release points, but the zone, his splitters were not finding the zone. It looks like he might have gotten 3 or 4 splitters in the zone out of all the ones that he threw. And they're ranging from way up and out from a righty, kind of coming just outside the zone, and then a lot of pitches also coming down and into a righty. He threw 32 pitches in the strike zone, 45 pitches out of the zone. Batters would swing at 28 of his pitches, take 49. They took a lot of splitters. They did not swing at a lot of his splitters. They were mainly swinging at sinkers, a couple of sliders, 1 knuckle curve, and a handful of his splitters. Through 32 balls, mainly splitters. I got 17 called strikes and 4 swinging strikes, 8 foul tips, 8 hit outs, and 8 base hits. Hard hit versus not hard hit, half and half, 8 and 8. Scott Alexander would come in, 23 pitches, 18 sinkers, 5 sliders, 92.8 on the sinker, on the sinker, and 84 on the sliders. Mainly just some vertical drop on those sliders. The sinkers had some good lateral movement. Relatively same release point. He's more down on the strike zone. Only 1 ball was really up and above it. 12 pitches were in the zone. 11 were out of the zone. Batters would end up swinging at 13 of his pitches and take 10. 8 balls, 2 called strikes, 3 swinging strikes, 4 foul tips, 4 hit outs, 2 base hits. And then 3 hard hits, 3 not hard hits. And then Taylor Rogers would throw 30 pitches as he walks 4 batters, 15 sliders, 11 sinkers, 4 cutters. I'm really going to go over the speeds there for you. Decent movement. And he had a few in the zone. I mean, it wasn't like he was completely missing the zone. A lot of down and out from a righty. 13 pitches in the zone, 17 were out of the zone. Batters swung at 13 of his pitches, took 17. Threw 15 balls, 2 called strikes, 1 swinging strike, and 12 foul tips. And a lot of those foul tips were from Freddie Freeman. Brebbia ended up throwing only 10 pitches, 3 4-seamers, 7 sliders. Decent movement from both of those. Strike zone, he got 5 in the zone, 5 out of the zone. Batters would swing at 6 of them, take 4. 4 balls, 2 swinging strikes, 2 foul tips, 2 base hits, 2 fly balls. Then Stripling would come in, 65 pitches. 20 4-seamers, 19 changeups, 16 sliders, 8 knuckle curves, 2 sinkers. His changeup was 84.2, four seamers 92.1, knuckle curves 76.5, sliders 86.8. Obviously, that knuckle curve had a lot of vertical drop. His other pitches, not a lot of lateral movement, a decent amount, but not like way crazy. Like 6 inches to one side, maybe 12 inches to the other. His zone, he was coming in a lot on righties, not a lot on lefties. As far as like getting outside of the zone, he threw 29 in the strike zone, 36 out of the zone. Batters would swing at 22 of his pitches and take 43. Relatively decent and even mixture of each of his pitches and what was taken and what was swung at. Threw 25 balls, 18 called strikes, 8 swinging strikes, 8 foul tips, 4 hitouts, 2 base hits. So overall, not great, not terrible. I mean, obviously it could always be worse, but it was not a fun outing for any of the pitchers that were on the mound that night. And one thing I do it like, let's just always remember that these pitchers, they're people too, as much as it sucks, especially because they're paid a lot of money. They should be doing this pretty well. It it's got to really suck to be up there on that stage and you can't record an out to save your life. So I feel bad for Taylor Rogers. I hope he figures it out. And we'll see what happens in the long run. I mean, I know nobody really wants to hear anybody say this, but it is still a young season. We have a lot to go. We're not even 10% through the season yet, but um, we'll see what happens. Our ump behind the dish was Alex Tosi for this final game. 93% on his overall accuracy, called 195 of 209, taking pitches correctly. Overall favor plus 1.08 runs for San Francisco. Overall consistency 94%. Says he called 8 called balls inside the estimated ump zone and 5 called strikes outside the zone. Impact from his calls. Top of the first, Cobb to Martinez, 2 outs, runners on first and third. 2-2 count. Ball is called a strike. Bottom of the fifth, Kershaw to Wade Jr., 2 outs, bases empty, 3-2 count. Strike is called a ball. Top of the second, Cobb to Vargas, 1 out, bases empty, 3-1 count. Ball is called a strike. As far as called ball accuracy, it says he was at 99%, 2 of 14 called balls or true strikes. And his called strike accuracy, it says he was 82% there with 12 of 67 called strikes as true balls. So that's pretty rough there. So that was our ump behind the dish. So overall, disappointing homestand, disappointing games. We're coming out of our first homestand of the season, 2-4. That's definitely not where anybody wanted to be. So overall, this brings our record to 5-7. We dropped 2 out of 3 to the Royals. That was already hard enough. We got slapped around by the Dodgers twice after losing to them 15 times last season. That was even harder to stomach. Our strength in the middle game to the Dodgers against the Dodgers was our pitching, but then in the last game, it completely unraveled. Muncy had his way in the whole series, hitting 4 home runs and getting 11 RBIs. The batters on the team so far right now through these first 12 games, they're slashing for a combined 250, 335, 444 with 131 strikeouts and 412 at bats. Let me get my calculator out real quick and just do some quick math there. 131 divided by 412. That is a 31.7, 31.8% strikeout rate there. We've drawn 46 walks, 8 hit by pitches, and we've hit 21 home runs. We're second in the NL on caught stealing, hit by pitches, and home runs. Logan Webb, he's got an ERA of 6.35, 19 hits, 12 runs, 4 home runs, 3 walks, and 22 strikeouts over 17.0 innings pitched. So when you go through a rough homestand like this, you try and look for some silver linings. And some of that is that our defense is not as bad as it was last year so far. Joey Bart had a pretty good showing in this homestand. I mean, honestly, he went, like I said, he went 1 for 4 in the first game, and then would go, didn't even play in the second game, and then 2 for 4 in the third game. So 3 for 8. It's not bad. It's pretty good. Darren Ruff comes in. He goes 2 for 4, gets an RBI double. So, but our depth is truly being challenged at this point. Like I said earlier, hopefully we get Haniger and Slater back at some point. I mean, Slater back, Haniger, we haven't even had him yet in the season at all, as he's yet to play as a Giant. At least we know what Slater can do. We saw him last year. But throughout the games, like in the first game, we gave up 9 hits and 9 runs. The second game, we gave up 3 hits, so that's 12 total hits, 25 hits and 19 runs to the Dodgers. And we would get 7, 14, 24 hits. So we hit about the same, 25, 24, but then we would only score 11 runs. So our main focus as a team should be getting more runs across the plate. We're leaving way too many on base. Not doing really good with runners in scoring position. But and I just want to say, if any of you watch, I don't know how many of you may watch Ted Lasso or not, but my wife and I do. And after watching the loss last night, that watching Max Muncy have his way again, watching our pitching unravel, I was already feeling down and out. My wife goes, "Let's watch the new episode of Ted Lasso." And I was like, "You know what? Why not? It's Ted Lasso. It normally cheers me up." I was wrong. That was a sad episode. It made me feel worse. So yeah, I got it twofold. I had to watch the Giants suck, and then I had to watch a sad episode of Ted Lasso. Oh well. Anyway, I want to say thank you again for listening. I really do appreciate it. If you got any comments, like I said, go ahead and reach out to me. It can be any kind of comment, pointers, tips, corrections, anything. If I get any type of correction, let me know, and I will definitely be mentioning it in the next episode. I really want people to truly let me know what they think so that I can get better, be better, put out a better show for everybody. All the feedback will be much appreciated. And like I said, as far as the data for this show went, ESPN provided a lot of the data, Baseball Savant for those pitcher reports, ump scorecards for all the ump reports, articles in The Athletic by Grant Brisbee and Andrew Baggerly, and articles for NBC Sports Bay Area from Alex Pavlovich. Those are all good reads. I recommend, as a Giants fan, you go through, read those. They have a lot of information, and it's not just the statistics and data from the team, but they get that human element too, and it's always really good reads. So I will come back after the next series that we have. And you know what? This could be the bounce back that we need. I mean, our next few games, we're going to Detroit for 3. That's a 3-9 Detroit Tigers team. We're going to Miami for 3. That's a 6-7 Miami team. And then we come back to San Francisco for 4 against the Mets. They're 7-6. and then 4 against the St. Louis Cardinals, who are 5-7, or excuse me, they're 5-8 as of today. So not an awful stretch. We just got to get our heads on right, and hopefully by the time we get done with those 4 series, we'll go down to Mexico City and face the Dodgers, or excuse me, the Padres, and hopefully that will not be a complete wash. So I'll see you after the Detroit series. Peace out.